So hello and welcome you all to Sail to MDS Dental Academy. I am Dr. Malay Trivedi, pediatric dentist and assistant professor in College of Dental Sciences. So as today we are here with the part 12 of the HPSC past paper discussion. So if any of you who have not joined the test series or lecture series, they can DM me. We have started one more batch because exam date has been delayed. And those students who are already part of the test series, if they want to revise, they can DM me. Okay aspirants, so let's discuss today's agenda of questions. So first question, collagen formation is affected in deficiency of which vitamin? It is vitamin C. Let's see a few important points for the vitamin C, that is ascorbic acid. The source for vitamin C is fruits and vegetables. The biochemist, remember, it is an antioxidant. You can remember this very simple mnemonic, that is oil rig, that is oxidation is loss and reduction is gain. So it is an antioxidant. It helps in collagen synthesis. How? They help in hydroxylation of proline and lysine residue. It also helps in norepinephrine synthesis. Okay aspirant, then clinical presentation of vitamin C is scurvy, we can see bleeding gums, ecchymosis, subperiosteal hemorrhages, skin lesions, periodontal disorder and corkscrew hair appearance. Then steam under pressure is used in which method of sterilization? It is used for autoclave. Let's see in detail how the sterilization by moist heat occur. Remember, the principle behind the moist heat is what? Denature and coagulation of protein. They break the DNA strand, and which causes the loss of functional integrity of cell membrane of bacteria. We have three methods: boiling, steaming and steam sterilizer. Boiling is around 100 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes. In this you can go for the syringes, rubber good and surgical instrument. This method is effective against few of the bacteria and some spores. So because of that, it is not that much effective against spores. We have steaming. It is more effective than dry heat at the same temperature because bacteria are more susceptible to heat, and also they have good penetrating power and they have more sterilizing power. They can penetrate easily to the bacterial cell wall. Now steam sterilizer works at 100 degrees Celsius under normal atmospheric pressure. It means what? Without extra pressure. It is useful for sterilizing the object which may damage at higher than 100 degree temperature. Here the method are single exposure for half an hour and tendilization. Then autoclave. See, autoclave is a commonly used example for the moist heat sterilization. It is used for the sterilization of the biohazard trash, heat and moisture resistant material like aqueous preparation. So what we do in this method, the sterilization is done by steam under pressure. So steaming at a temperature higher than 100 degrees Celsius is used. So when you close the autoclave, what happens? The water will start boiling. The pressure inside the chamber will increase. Now what happens? The water will boil around 100 degrees Celsius, and we have the pressure of around 15 pound per square inch, which is very helpful for proper sterilization and to kill spores. So that's all brief idea about moist heat sterilization. Then the causative organism for syphilis is Treponema pallidum. You should have a little idea for this Treponema pallidum because commonly asked for periodontal disorder also and for the some of the chronic inflammation. So remember, it's a spirochete, very fastidious and fragile. It is sensitive to disinfectant, heat and drying. It is a chemoheterotropy and they secrete the enzyme known as hyaluronidase. And transmission of the syphilis we know by sexual, blood transfusion and transplacental also. Then anaerobic bacteria grows by how? They grows in absence of oxygen. Let us see in detail about the bacteria. See, aerobic require oxygen, anaerobic no oxygen is required. What is obligate? It means what? They cannot survive in absence of oxygen, like your M. tuberculosis. Microaerophilic means what? They require a lower concentration of oxygen, like around 2 to 10%, like your H. pylori. Obligate anaerobic means what? They cannot survive in the presence of oxygen, like your tetani and paphiringitis. And facultative means what? They can grow without oxygen but use oxygen if it is present. That means facultative, like your E. coli. And aerotolerant bacteria. This bacteria cannot use oxygen for their growth but are not harmed by it also. So aspirant, please remember this 5 point many times asked in the examination for microbiology. Then HIV is transmitted by all except your saliva. Remember, if they ask in your exam the sequence based question or which is the most common route, it is a sexual means followed by blood transmission and even by sharing of sharp object. In few articles they are given by sharing of drinking cups also and mosquito bite. Then most common tumor associated with AIDS is Kaposi sarcoma. Remember, how AIDS was identified first from the patient of Kaposi sarcoma only. So it's the most common HIV or AIDS related cancer, most often seen in man. And the cases of Kaposi sarcoma have decreased as HIV treatment has been advanced. In the beginning, when AIDS became widespread, the survival rate was less than 10%, but now it is around more than 72%. Then pseudohyphae, it is seen in Candida albicans. Then caseous necrosis is suggestive of what? It suggests of tuberculosis. So what is caseous necrosis? It is a collection of the chronic inflammatory cells. Most often you can see in the foci of tuberculosis infection. Can also be seen in syphilis and certain fungi. You can see caseous necrosis like appearance in histoplasmosis also, cryptococcosis and coccidiomycosis. Then an acute inflammation attracts which type of cell? They will attract neutrophils, and your chronic inflammation will attract monocyte, macrophages. Then synthesis of DNA occur in which phase of cell cycle? It occurs in synthesis S phase. Remember, you should know the importance of every phase. Like G1 phase, you can see metabolic changes. S phase, the DNA synthesis occur. G2 phase, the assembling of cytoplasmic material occur, so the cell can go mitosis and cytokinesis. And M phase is what? It's a nuclear division followed by a cell division. And the period between the mitotic division, that is G1, S and G2 phase, is known as interphase. Very important MCQ. And this is a cycle. Once again, we will see in G1 phase, we can see cellular contents excluding the chromosomes are duplicated. S phase, here the chromosome will duplicate, and G2 phase, here the double check the duplicated chromosome for error, making any needed repairs, followed by mitosis and cytokinesis. And between this area is known as interphase. Then incremental line of ridges is seen in enamel. Okay, aspirant, and what it indicates? It indicates the period of activity and inactivity. Then wounds which are clean, remember the word uninfected is there, surgically inside, and suture is there. It is by primary intention. If opposites are there, then it is secondary intention. Let us see the difference between primary and secondary intention. In primary intention, it is a clean wound. Here it is not clean. In primary intention, we have no infection. Here the infection is present. Primary intention mostly are surgically clean, the sutures are used. Wherever in secondary intention, the margins are irregular and sutures cannot be used. The wound will be very large. In primary, we have a very small granulation tissue, so the outcome will be a very small scar and complications are not seen. Wherever in secondary intention, as the wound was large, the granulation tissue will be large followed by irregular wound. The most definite feature of malignant tumor is what? It is the metastasis. Let us see the difference between benign and malignant neoplasm. Very important. Remember, in benign we have a nuclear variation both in size and shape, but it is very minimal. Wherever in malignant it is marked. In benign we have a diploid, here it is a plody. In benign we have a very less mitotic count, but in malignant we have a high mitotic count and abnormal mitosis. Benign tumor have retention of specialization and their structural differentiation is retained and the arrangement is little organized. Okay, but here in malignant there is a loss of specialization, the structural differentiation will be there and they are not organized. In benign, the functional differentiation is usually there, wherever in malignant the functional differentiation is also lost. Okay, aspirant, so let us see anaplasia, what it is. It is a characteristic feature of malignancy. With this beautiful diagram, I am going to explain each and every type of plasia. Like hyperplasia, we can see the fewer cells are there. In hyperplasia, the number of cells are increased. In neoplasia, also the cells are increased, but you can see the abnormal multiplication is there. Okay, that means a cell atypia is there. Fine. In dysplasia, what happened? The change in normal shape, size and organization occur. Fine, but remember this dysplasia and metaplasia both are reversible. If you remove the stimulus, they are going to revert back to the original shape. Very important statement. In metaplasia, what happened? The change in cell type field occur. Like you can see here, the epithelium is ciliated, and here you can see the stratified squamous epithelium. Anaplasia, it's a reversal in differentiation, means you can say de-differentiation also, or loss of both structural and functional characteristic of normal cells occur. And if there is anaplasia, it is a characteristic of cancerous tumors. Then pernicious anemia is associated with what? It is associated with deficiency of vitamin B12. Let us see very important points of pernicious anemia. Remember, it's a chronic inflammation of gastric body seen in women. The immunology is very complex in pernicious anemia. It's a type 2 hypersensitivity feature, commonly asked. There are antibody against both parietal cells as well as intrinsic factor, and there is autoreactive CD4 plus T cells. It is also associated with HLA-DR antigens and associated with gastric adenocarcinoma. Very important MCQ. Then the dental pulp is derived from dental papilla. You can remember from this chart, aspirants, dental papilla, differentiation of the odontoblast and pulp cell, so they will form dentin and pulp. Dental follicle, the differentiation of PDL cell, cementoblast and osteoblast, so they will form PDL, cementum and alveolar bone. Remember aspirant, these all 5 structures are mesenchymal in origin. Then water ducts drains in submandibular gland. Remember, it is also known as submaxillary and submandibular duct also. It is 5 cm long and it is much thinner than your parotid duct. It drains saliva from submandibular and sublingual gland to the sublingual carbuncle at the base of the tongue. Then the most abundant principal fiber group in PDL is oblique fiber. Remember, they extend from the cementum to alveolar bone, not reverse. Retroincisor cannot be used as abutment because they have very insufficient pericemental area. So aspirant, that was all for today. If anybody want to join a government dental exam or NEET MDS test series, they can contact me. All my details are here. So friend, please keep on working. Any doubt, let me know, so you have enough days for your preparation. So now what your goal should be there? You should keep on revising. You have around 60-70 days, so you can easily revise, but don't keep your revision as an extend. Like some of the students have a habit that they will revise for 2 months. No, you have to divide in 2 parts. Like 60 days are there, 40-20. First revision should complete in 40 days and second revision should complete in 20 days. Okay, any doubt is there in revision, please let me know, because we all want success in both government exam as well as your NEET MDS exam.